Are your tulips driving you absolutely crazy because they're just flopping all over the place? Spoiler alert, you're never quite going to be able to tame them. Once you've got your tulips in your vase, they continue growing, just by a little bit over the course of their life of a week or so. And also they're phototropic, which means they grow towards the light. Hello there, I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. In this video I'm going to show you 3 ways to arrange your tulips in glass vases. And before you decide which vase you're going to use, you need to have a think about what kind of arrangement you want to create. Now, tulips are really great for a cut and plonk flower arrangement, absolutely no skill required. And part of the reason for that is because they are going to continue to grow and they will move towards the light. So if you want to do a very formal, very strict shape with your flowers, it's not really going to work with tulips, and I would suggest you try another kind of flower instead. Another great thing about tulips is when they're in season, they are plentiful, and if you feel like living the high life and being abundant with the flowers you've got at home, they're quite affordable too. And I've been to my local supermarket and bought 2 bunches of flowers, and rather bizarrely, in each of the bunch I had 22 stems and they cost me £7 each. Another trick for creating a really abundant look is to keep your flowers all in one colour. It's just that repetition and that mass of colour. And as you can see, I've chosen some pale pink whitish tulips, and choose whatever colour you like. Once you start adding in lots of different colours, it's very sort of confusing to your brain and you don't really get that luxury look that you might be after. As with all flowers, when you get them home, you need to take them out of their protective cellophane wrap and cut away the elastic bands. I always cut just a couple of centimetres, or centimetre and a half off the ends of my stems, and I do that at a diagonal angle. And if you look at your flower stems before you cut them, you'll see they've been cut straight across and they'll have dried out a little bit. And because they're dried out, they're not going to take up water in the same way. So effectively, when you create that new diagonal cut, you're creating a bit of a wound in the flower stem, and that's what encourages your flowers, your tulips, to take up water. I always peel off the last really big leaf on my tulips. It just looks a little bit too wayward. On the whole, that's the only leaf I do remove. I like having the other ones there as a little bit of natural greenery. So if you decide to arrange your flowers in a mid-length vase, you're going to find that when you cut and plonk your flowers and put them into the water, they will settle and do their own thing. But that's part of the beauty of the tulips. You know they're going to grow a little bit. You know they're going to move towards the light. So why not embrace it and have a really natural looking arrangement? The trick here is, rather than being mean with your flower stems, is to put as many as possible that you can fit into that open mouth of your vase. Now, if your tulips are just a little bit too floppy for you and you want to get them to straighten up again, there is one way that you can try and keep your tulips upright, and that's to choose a flower vase that is cylindrical with straight up and down sides, matching the size of your vase to the length of your tulips. So with the first cut and plonk arrangement I showed you, my vase was half the length of my tulips, so they had this opportunity to splay out. If you get a taller vase with straight sides to it, it will just sort of hold your flower stems a little bit more upright, and that will keep them straighter. But what you'll find is that the flowers will still continue to grow and they will move towards the source of the light. Let me show my flowers that have been sitting in my tall vase for 24 hours. And this is what they look like. They've grown a little bit, but can you see they're all sort of bending off towards me? And that's because I've got a window on that side of the room and they're just trying to find their way towards the light. So what I will do when I put these back on the side is just twist them round a little bit, and then hopefully they'll straighten up. And if you don't like your flowers growing, you can't stop them doing that, but what you could do is to recut the stem ends, so you're constantly adjusting the height of them. So as they grow taller, you shorten them from the bottom. I particularly like arranging my tulips in glassware. I just think it adds a really stylish modern look to your tulips. Some bright, sparkling clean glassware. I always put just a little bit of water in the bottom, just again for a more modern look rather than drenching my flowers with water. And what about if you want to be really modern and eye-catching with your arrangements? The next little clip I'm going to show you is an arrangement of my tulips, and I've curved the stems to fit into a cylindrical bubble vase, something that looks like an old-fashioned goldfish bowl. Now the way to do this is to take your tulips out of water. Now my tulips were out of water for 24 hours. Oh, don't tell, I'll be drummed out of floristry school. But I wanted to have the stems flexible enough in order that I could circle them around my vase. And if you try doing this when your flowers are perky and turgid, as we would say in the floristry world, you're going to find your stem ends will break. So I took my flowers out of water, ideally probably for the flowers. I should have perhaps just taken them out for a couple of hours, but things got waylaid, life happened, and they were out of water overnight. What I did is to strip off the lower leaves of my tulips and cut off the thicker end of the stem, and then being really, really gentle, taking the flower head and positioning that into my fishbowl first, and then snaking or curling the stems round and making sure they ended up in the water. And because I wanted a consistent pattern with my tulip heads all being in the same place, that I went round and put the flower head in place first and then curled the stem ends round. If you do it the other way round, stem ends in first, as you would naturally when you're flower arranging, you may find that your flower heads don't quite end up in the right place. If you're watching through the clip, you're thinking, my goodness, what on earth is Julie doing? Those flowers just are not going to survive. But let me tell you that because I was making a fresh cut in the stem ends, they were in water, within an hour or so, they were looking perky and bright again. And in fact, 24 hours later, let me show what they look like. And here they are. Don't they look absolutely fantastic? So whereas the flower heads were quite low in my bowl, they have started to grow up. And what you can do, if you just want to position them, is just tuck your fingers in and just release them a little bit. But doesn't that look absolutely fantastic? Again, I haven't got much water in my vase. I just need to make sure that those cut ends are actually still in the water. But it's a really, really attractive centerpiece and be a real talking point. Do let me know in the comments which of those 3 flower arrangements were your favourite. Do you prefer your tulips going natural and wild, a little bit wayward? Do you prefer trying to keep them under control and putting them in a cylindrical vase? Or perhaps your inner designer is shining through and you're going to have a go at that fishbowl arrangement. That's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time. I forgot. If you find your tulips are flopping and you do want to get them upright, the trick is to take them out of water, recut the stems and wrap them up in a sheet of newspaper, brown paper, anything that just supports the stem heads. I'll leave a video up in the cards so you can see exactly what I mean. That's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time.